Hi! Welcome to our podcast. This is our very first episode of Knits and Giggles. I'm Debbie.
I'm Brandie.
And we are from the Edmonton area, rurally, Sherwood Park,
Beaumont-ish. We're both acreage dwellers.
Acreage dwellers. And this is a knitting podcast. So welcome. We're going to talk about knitting and yarn and books and things we like. So
settle in, grab a beverage.
Yes, I have Dr. Pepper.
Ooh, I have tea that I picked all the herbs myself, some mint and lemon balm and maybe nettle in there. It's delicious.
I don't do those things. I buy mine at the store. So, I guess we'll start with what we're wearing. Mm-hmm. So I'm wearing something super old. This is the Scraptown cowl. So the reason I'm wearing this today is because on the weekend we were talking with some friends about color work. And this was a super easy color work pattern that was my first ever color work pattern that we did at a fun retreat together. Let's take it off. So it was very easy repeat. I'm sure my floats are super messy because I'd never done it before, but it uses a bunch of scraps, so you don't need a lot of the same color. You can mix and match your colors. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. I think it's DK or worsted, so it's also super quick. It'd be a great gift knit, actually. I want to make more of these because I have a lot of scraps.
Yeah, I think you could easily use either weight of yarn. I made one and then I gifted it, so I don't no longer have it in my possession, but it was also my first color work project and it fit, so that was nice because I tried color work socks later and they didn't work. So I am wearing also an older make. This is the party top, which I forget the designer's name, but I made a couple of mods to it. It's a short sleeve, but I made it long sleeve or 3/4 length because I always push up my sleeves. So I like to make when I'm making my own knit garments, I like to make them a little bit shorter so I'm not always pushing them up. And this sweater is super fun for me too because I actually did a class with Robin of Rose Hill Yarns last spring and I dyed this yarn myself, so that was fun.
It turned out really good.
Yeah.
How many skeins did that one take? 3?
I don't think I used all 3. I think 2 and a little bit.
So I just looked it up. So the party top is AbbyeKnits.
Yes.
Is the designer. And Scraptown, I should probably also say who it's by.
It's Kacey Knits.
Is it Kacey Knits?
I think so.
I have my iPad handy, so this is helpful if it wants to actually load things. Yes, it is Kacey Knits. I have test knit for her before, some other patterns. She has great, quick, easy accessories. That is the kind of designer I aspire to be one day, that does quick, easy accessories, because I'm a very impatient person, so that helps me.
And she actually has quite a few scrappy cowls, so that's nice for people who are trying to use up those little bits of yarn.
Yeah, one that I test knit, I don't have it handy to show. It used fingering, you could hold fingering double or just use DK, and it also was very scrappy, and it was a bandana cowl, so it started with a V and then went in the round. Very easy, very fast. I knit a couple of them when I was testing for her. And one of those accessories you can just throw on and wear kind of with anything. So that's what I liked about that one. If we move on to, we have a list of things to talk about. Whips, but Brandie forgot her
I
whips.
forgot my whips. I can tell you what I'm making. I'm making a Brooklyn top by Tori Knits. I think on Instagram she's Tori Knits NYC. And I'm also making a tessellated sweater pullover by Andrea Mowry, and I am this close to being done. I thought it was going to be my finished project today, but it is not finished yet.
So I can show lots of things to do with my whips. So I also have a tessellated. This is my tessellated so far. It is missing sleeves and a collar, but it's got the bottom done. The Tessellatd is a three yarn repeat. It is mosaic knitting, so slipping stitches and knitting very simple, but it creates like a really beautiful fabric because it uses suri in there, and the suri is held just by itself. So it's nice and fuzzy and it highlights it. My suri, I'm using Qing Fibre suri. You can see that it's got, is it blowing out there? It's kind of showing. So it's got the speckles in it. This suri I bought at a yarn store in London in like 2019. So I had it in my stash for a really long time. And this is the second skein. And I've only used one so far in the body. So I'll have more than enough to finish the sleeves. My color changing yarn in this is Spincycle, which I'm only on my second ball of my Spincycle for this one. I think this one is the Miss Me colorway. So it changes from green to pink. And then I also have this one if I wanted to add it in. It's the Saddest Place one. And I think I've used the Sea Witch color in this so far. So I have a few. And then my main color gray is Estelle DK, which Estelle is one of my favorite cheap, well, not cheap.
Affordable, cost efficient.
Yes, inexpensive yarns. It's about $11 a skein, and I find it very durable. So I knit with it quite a bit for my children. And myself because it's nice and soft. So I will be done this soon. Yay! But I say soon because I can't give a timeline because I'm working on a test knit. So that's my other whip. My other whip is by Lavanya. It is the Thistle Thorn Pullover, and that's how far I've gotten so far. Not very far. I've just started my second repeat. She actually just sent a pattern update today because the repeat was like row 13 to 20, but then she changed it to 17 to 20. So it creates this like thistly sort of texture. I don't know if I can bring up her, I'll try.
Yeah, the pattern's not, oh yeah, but she does have photos on her Instagram so you can see what it's gonna look like.
Hers is done with Spincycle and Mayak. So it has a beautiful color change going through it. Is it sort of showing? There we go. Yeah. So that is the pattern that I'm testing, but I'm not using a color changing yarn. I'm using a variegated. And my variegated is by Brine Dyeworks. I love Brine. So this one is a BFL Sport DK. And this one's called Ben Dives is the colorway. It's sort of a greenish color.
Is that variegated? It looks almost like tonal to me.
Well, I guess it'd be tonal. I don't know.
What's like it has a little bit. I think variegated usually has like more color changes.
More color changes. So yeah. I guess it's very tonal because it has quite a lot of shifting throughout it.
To light and dark.
Yes.
Maybe that's.
And there's quite a lot of difference. Like in some spots it's very light. And then my main color, well actually this is called the main color because it shows up the most. This is color A in the pattern. And then the B color, which is the black that she uses, I'm using a, also kind of an affordable yarn. It's the Gathering Yarn, the Farmer. And this one is I believe it's alpaca. Yes, it's Highland wool and alpaca, 20% alpaca and 20% nylon. And this is a 6-ply sock, which I think is more of a sport weight. And it's very tealy. So that's the two colors. And this one's a $20 skein yarn, which I also find more affordable than some hand-dyed yarns. Yeah. So those are my whips.
Should we talk about what we've been up to? We've had like an exciting summer. In August, we went to Knit City in Calgary. It was amazing. It was amazing. And it was both of our first times going to a Knit City, so that was pretty exciting. And it landed on my birthday, so super exciting that Knit City threw me a party for my birthday. And we made some purchases. Should we
Yes,
dive into those?
We can show our purchases. So Calgary is about 3 hours away from where we live, south. So we made it like a 3-day event, even though Knit City, the marketplace is open for 2 days, Saturday, Sunday. They had classes. We didn't do any of the classes, but they had classes on the Friday and the Saturday and the Sunday for people wanting to do them. There was some amazing teachers that were down there doing various things, like what was the one, the designing sweater with Megan Nodecker was there. And then there was, Pip and Pin. And then there were some crochet ones and stuff too. But we went to the marketplace strictly on Saturday because we figured we'll be able to get through and buy everything we want to buy in one day. And actually, I have a little bit of a regret about that because at the very end of the day, the buttons, like I feel like we walked through in almost a daze near the end, and it was like passing by because we had shopping lists and I didn't want to deviate from my shopping list and actually stick to more of a budget because I have way too much stuff, guys, like 200 skeins of yarn on my Ravelry now. So I didn't need more unless I was specifically getting things for a project. But then we found this button person, Mud Buttons, and she's not even on social media that I can find. And she hand makes clay buttons, and
her booth was massive. I don't even know how we missed it, but a friend of ours had said to us, "Did you see the buttons?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, I think there was like a little booth." She's like, "No, it was like 3 walls of buttons." And we're like, "What?" And it was we found her 5 minutes before the marketplace closed. So we were checking out her buttons, and they were beautiful. Yeah,
so many sizes and styles and different clay bases that she uses, ceramic and stoneware, and colors like red and white, and it was like, I mean, clay body colors, but then her glazes were amazing as well, and some unglazed pieces and earrings that she had.
She had jewelry as well. And then the buttons too. Afterwards, we were talking on our way to go for dinner with another group of knitters, and someone said, "Well, I wanted to buy buttons, but I didn't have a purpose for them." And this friend of ours she had been wearing a linen dress the night before with buttons all the way down the front. And I had said, "Viv, what if you wanted to repurpose, like, not necessarily that dress, but any outfit that you have that has buttons on it? It would be so easy to re-sew new buttons." And she was like, "Oh, that would have been amazing. I wish I would have thought of that," because she's like, "Those buttons are so plain on that dress." She's like, "I could have totally upscaled my already worn garment with some fun buttons." So
I know. So that is my regret, I guess, that we didn't go back the second day, but also it would have been tiring, probably.
Overwhelming.
Even
the first day I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite part of Knit City was?
The people, I think. Because we had so much opportunity to sit and knit with new people and meet friends, meet new friends.
Yes.
And see what they were buying, all their requirements that I wasn't buying because I don't need all of that. Not yet, anyway. So I think, meeting the people. We
went to the kickoff party too, which was on Friday night, and it was a rooftop patio party, which sounds really glitzy, and it kind of was. It was super fun, but I think the kickoff party was kind of part of my favorite because there was the intention to sit and knit and to visit with people, whereas when you're at the marketplace, the intention more is like shopping, although there is those lovely gathering spots with tables. But I felt like when we were at the kickoff party, it was really like intentional, sitting at a table with people and being able to talk about what they were wearing or what they were knitting on and where people were from. I don't know why I was surprised by this, but I was really surprised that there was people from the United States that had come specifically for Knit City, and we met someone from Iceland, which I thought was crazy. To come to Canada for a knit event. But
I guess that shouldn't be so shocking because there are so many of these knit events in the States that we would totally go to.
Yes.
Really, like, Rhinebeck is like goals. So I can't see why people wouldn't come here for our knit events. And even we'll talk about another one that we went to this past weekend, very local, smaller show in our province, but I had posted some things on Instagram and other people were like so jealous you were there. And to me it just seems like this is such a small time, but
we've been to it a few times.
Anytime that you can gather and and be amongst the knitters or the crocheters or, you know, the fiber people, and then see all the things. I think it's just FOMO creating.
Yeah. And I found too at Knit City that one of the things that I really enjoyed was seeing people what they were wearing, and there was lots of patterns. I was like, oh, what pattern is that? And then they would say what pattern it was, and I was familiar with the pattern, but it wasn't necessarily on my radar. And now I'm like, oh, I like what you did with that pattern. I like the colors you chose. That's now on my radar. Although, I mean, I don't need any more patterns on my radar.
There's a lot. I have more to talk about too, but I guess we can talk about what we bought at Knit City.
Yeah.
So specifically with my shopping list for Knit City, I think the only deviations I had were like some stickers for my water bottle and a keychain. But otherwise, I found this yarn, and I think Brandie will talk more about this too. This is a Suri DK. This one's it's so fuzzy. Yeah. But this one's from Bramble Ridge, Suri Alpaca DK, and it's in the color Rosewood, 100 grams, 285 yards. So I bought 3 of these. My plan is to make the Nebula by Andrea Mowry with this yarn.
And Bramble Ridge actually had a Nebula in a different colorway, but knit in the Suri Alpaca DK, and it was like touching a cloud.
It's so light. It's so light and airy, and I'm assuming it will be warm anyway.
Yes.
Like,
I was a little hesitant when you said that. So before we shared our wish list, and Debbie had mentioned that at Flock Fibre Fest there was Suri DK, and we'd never heard of it before, so we were really excited about this. And Debbie was really excited about it, and she wanted to make a Nebula, and I kind of was a little naysayer. I'm like, won't it be holy? Like, I felt like it would be airy and not very, like, the stitch definition would be really great, but then seeing that Nebula, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I think the DK Suri is the it yarn right now.
I think so too. We talked to the dyer, and she said that she was having trouble getting that base in, so whatever they had available was it, and there wouldn't be any more until later this fall. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
So that was one. You want to talk about one of yours?
Yes, I do. Okay, so the first thing I did was I went to Stash from Calgary, because we have a few yarn stores in our area, but none of them carry Spincycle, and I love Spincycle. So this colorway is Happy Pill, and if you're familiar with Spincycle, you know that it is a pricier yarn, especially for us Canadians, because it's made in the States, so with the exchange and everything, it can be quite pricey. But I made my Trinnigan with Spincycle and my Tessellatd with Spincycle, and I had 4 skeins total, and both of those sweaters are going to be made with those skeins. So I feel like it goes a lot farther than you think, and this is only a 50 gram skein. But I knew I wanted more Spincycle in my stash. I want to make the knit that Debbie is testing right now, the Thistle Thorn sweater, when it comes out. So this, I think, is going to be my main color for that.
What would you coordinate with this one? Black?
Well, yeah, we had kind of talked about that. I might go black. I might go with a dark blue. Mm-hmm. Because this is a little bit more pricey. I am going to try and find a cost-efficient second color, just to make my sweater not be worth my weight in gold.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like, I don't know if that's taboo. We should talk about this, but I don't think it's taboo to mix and match different types of yarn. I have made sweaters with a hand-dyed as a second color that's more expensive, alongside the Estelle that's more cost efficient, because I think, yeah, whatever works for you, making it cost efficient for yourself.
Well, and really it's about how you care for your knits anyway. So as long as you're aware that whatever you're knitting with, what kind of care that yarn needs. I think something like Estelle, if I use that and knit for my kid, I'm only going to use specifically that. And if she shrinks it, then oh well, it wasn't that expensive. It was, $40 of yarn.
Yes.
And I feel much better about it. I would never use Spincycle for my children, or probably even a gift knit, because then you'd have to know that person's knit worthy.
Yes.
And tell them how to care for it and make sure they're not going to dry it and they're going to hand wash it, or
feel like it was well worth the investment. But I think I know with our knit group there's like lots of talk about that, and I have definitely mixed a more cost efficient yarn with a hand dyed to make my garment more affordable, and I see no problem with that.
No. Yeah, and even the cost itself, you know, to say like Spincycle is it's expensive, more expensive, but it's worth what they do, what the work that they put in to make this yarn.
It's a unique yarn.
It's valuable, like how it's spun and how it's dyed and all the processing, and to be able to pay a living wage to your employees is important. So I think it's totally worth the cost that it is, and I would never say it should be cheaper in any regard or less expensive.
And sometimes we just have to have yarns that we aspire to save up for and purchase. Did you see size inclusive knits? I think can't remember her Instagram. She's posted about slow fashion and about how oh man, that hit me right here. I was like, yes, I feel like that. So she had posted this post, wandering thoughts about slow fashion, and basically stating how I think knitting used to be quite slow fashion, but now there's kind of this feeling of FOMO being presented with new yarns, like the Suri DK, like it's sold out, you can't get it. And so it's like, oh, I need this yarn in my stash, and our stashes are getting bigger and bigger, and our made knits are getting more. And she had kind of said, how many of these knits are you wearing, and is this really slow fashion anymore, and is this something that we need to contemplate and think about? And very thought-provoking.
I definitely have sweaters that I've made that I don't really wear, and there are reasons for that. I knit a Love Note. It was my very first sweater that I ever knit. I feel it is a little bit too big for me, and so I don't really gravitate towards it. Will I rip that out and remake it? I don't know. Maybe I'll just like try to shrink it a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely feel that because there's so many yarns in my stash that I don't know if I'll ever get to them, and then I destash them. Because new things come out, or I've evolved in my knitting and what I want to make, or what I'm gravitating to and towards, or color, or
And I think we're all guilty of this. I think when we first started buying yarn, lots of us were buying, I hear this all the time in the knitter world, one skein. You bought one skein of whatever, and then what do you do with one skein? And like fingering weight, sure, you make socks, but even socks generally don't take 100 grams, so then you're left over with leftovers. And we know knitters that don't really want to knit the same yarn over and over and over again to make socks, which is fair enough, I guess. But then you end up with these like 40 grams left, and what do you do with it? So
or you buy them like I did. I have lots of single skeins of fingering. I think I've destashed quite a few, but I really hate knitting socks. So I buy them because I love the color. But again, that's just an evolving of the craft and knowing what you want and what you like. Another yarn that I bought at Knit City was Brine Dyeworks again. So this is a different colorway from Brine Dyeworks. It's also the BFL Sport DK. This one's Galactica. It has a little bit of purple in it, as well as the greens and blues and grays. So this one was going to be the framed sweater. So I already had one of these in my stash, and I decided I'm going to try and use some of my stash. So I went to Knit City with the intention of buying more of this specific yarn from this dyer, and I bought 2 more. So now I have 3 of these, with the intention of knitting Andrea Mowry's framed pullover. We will see.
Do you have all your colors?
I have this one too. Okay. So this one I already also had in my stash. I didn't have to buy more of this. So this is Ancient Arts Herlihy DK. It's a Viking Norway wool with merino wool, and it's DK weight. So if you're familiar with the framed, I guess we could show a picture of it in a minute. But this would be the color for the shoulders. This would be basically what she uses in the pattern as the color changing. She uses Spincycle in that pattern. This is what I would use. And then I was considering pairing it with just a cream. And this one is Twisted Sisters Company. It's a fiber mill in Alberta, and it's an alpaca that I also had in my stash. So those would be my 3 for my framed. We'll see if that's what's going to be now.
So I also went to Knit City with a very curated list, and the framed was also on my list. And so I bought these colors. So these are all from Brine Dyeworks, and this is called, I think, Oyster. It's like a offish white. Is that showing up?
Yeah.
And that would have been my main background color. And then this one, I don't know, what is it called? Soot. And it's kind of a tonal, it actually has like goldy orange.
Rust.
Let's see if we can get that to focus. Yeah, it's like dark with like rust tones in it. And then this would have been my shoulders for the framed, and it's called Ras El Hano. I think it might be French, I'm not sure.
I'm not French, so I don't know.
I don't know. But this was also the Sport DK and BFL 100% wool. Oh, that's another thing that has kind of changed from in my stash. I also am quite committed to buying more rustic and not superwash, because I have lots of superwash, and I actually like the way BFL and the not superwash knits up better. I've learned that I like the way they knit and they hold their structure a little bit more for my garments. So that's something also that I look at. But the reason why we keep saying, oh, yes, we might knit a framed. You want to show the framed?
Show the framed.
And it's by Andrea Mowry. I don't know if we
So this pattern is $9 US. I get so much the glare from my window behind there, but this is the framed sweater. So the shoulders, you can see, is a very nice contrasting color. So compared to the that is stranded color work in the body of this pattern. It's beautiful. Let's see if she has that other one that's not the color changing one.
It's on Farmer's Daughter.
Maybe it's listed on as a project.
The one with the yellow, right?
Is it this one?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Oh no, it's that one?
Yep, maybe. That looks like
very similar.
Yes.
That's not it, but it's very close.
Very close.
So
that was my inspiration. I really love those colors.
Focus. There we go. So just having like the more of the solid or tonals as the contrasting instead of a color changing yarn. Yeah, it's super fun, but
it's color work, and color work is not my favorite thing. I've only made the cowl and the socks that did not fit. But I was willing to set that aside and try the sweater, obviously, since I bought the yarn. But then Andrea Mowry duped us, and she is releasing a new pattern, I believe, tomorrow. And I think it's called the Sailor. She's dropped a couple sneak peeks, and the very first sneak peek, I zoomed in on the picture. I was like, I think that's mosaic. And I quite love mosaic knitting. The Tessellatd and the Trinnigan are both mosaic, and when Debbie actually first made her Trinnigan, I was like, that looks really hard, I'm not doing that. And she convinced me that it wasn't hard, and I tried it, and I was like, oh, mosaic knitting is the way to go. So she hasn't released the pattern yet, so we're not 100% sure that it's mosaic, but I think it's mosaic.
It looks very much like it would be, but it has very similar construction. In the shoulder is a contrast. In the picture, she's using the same color in the shoulder as in the body, but you could totally use the same 3 and then change those up
For the shoulder,
body. Yeah,
and then my body and my contrast.
It would be beautiful.
So
that pattern comes out tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. Just checking her Instagram.
But yeah, so I might swap
it says
framed.
tomorrow. She also shows this pattern as a shorter sleeve, but I'm sure that would be easy enough to add the long sleeve, or maybe in her pattern she has both, and she's just showing the one.
And that's actually one of the things I like about Andrea Mowry patterns, is even if it's not in her pattern, she shows different ones, and she says on her podcast that she knits a lot of different weights of yarn, the pattern, and in different colors and stuff like that, to see what fits and stuff like that. So then she shows that, and you can kind of make those decisions if you're comfortable with swapping things out. That's the same thing with this. The framed is a worsted weight pattern, but this is DK, and I think it would have been okay. I kind of did some calculations, some math to get the right amount of yarn to do that in DK. I personally, DK is about as heavy as I want to go for a sweater. I run a little bit hot, even though it's -50 in our climate. I probably could knit a heavier sweater. I don't like the heavier sweaters, so I try to stick
Well,
to
and I
DK.
think depending on the yarn, like that will probably bloom quite nicely when it's blocked, not so much with superwash, right? So I think like, yeah, the yarns that we pick will puff up a little bit and fill in those gaps. It will be really nice.
Do we want to show what we bought as that was not on our list?
Yes.
So we did. Debbie said she only bought
I lied.
stickers.
Apparently, I forgot we did deviate.
We both made a decision to buy one skein of yarn because the dyer, Horizon Fibers, she had you're not even gonna believe it. It's a bag. She had a purse, a knit purse made with this boucle in her booth, and I wanted it.
I'll show mine too.
Yeah, so I bought the color ink pots.
Which one is this one? This is Bouquet. Nimbus Boucle. Is this what weight is this? Do we know? Worsted, bulky, something?
It's not bulky. I thought she said it was quite light. It looks like almost a fingering to me, or a sport.
I can bring
but it's boucle, so
I can bring the pattern up.
Yeah, we'll show you the bag. It has some fun design elements.
Lacey Williamson is the designer.
Cozy circle crossbody bag.
So there, it's super cute. On the Ravelry, there's many projects already. Like, look at this, like bright yellow one. And you can get the straps on Amazon or wherever. I'm sure you could get them from a fabric store, you know, if they carry that kind of thing. But you can get various leather straps on Amazon. I've looked at them already. Yeah. And then there is minimal sewing. You don't have to have a sewing machine in the pattern, because I don't have a sewing machine. I could borrow one. But you can hand sew.
And the pattern does say that there's that she did the first 2 or 3 of her own hand sewn, and there's a zipper on it, which I'm a little daunted about the zipper. I technically don't have a sewing machine either, but my son does. So my 12-year-old is more proficient at sewing than I am, and I'm gonna make him help me.
Yes. Yeah. So eventually, I can't wait. Once the test knit is done, I have many things I can make. So excited about them. Is that all I bought at Knit City?
I have one more.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm so excited about this. I also wanted to say that one of my favorite things about Knit City and going there was I actually had some really amazing interactions with vendors, and it really filled my cup. Horizon was one of them when I stopped by and seen the bag, and we just had like this whole conversation about the bag, and I'd actually seen it on her Instagram previously, like a couple days before she posted it, and I didn't even realize who she was because I was just so overwhelmed in Knit City. I was like, oh, I've seen that bag, and then I was like, no, I've seen that bag on your Instagram. And yeah, so we had a whole chat, and it was really lovely. And this was another fiber goddess also. I had a whole chat with her, and it, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have bought this yarn if I hadn't had a chat with her. But it's green, it's lovely. So the one is Little Stinging Secrets in Superwash Merino, Cashmere, and Nylon Sock. But then this one, that's amazing. It is amazing. I wish I could like reach through the camera and everybody could just feel it. It is 50% silk and 50% baby camel. And it is so soft. So I went in with the Suri shirt by Kadri, I believe. That was on my list. I wanted to buy yarn for it. She made hers with silk, so I knew I wanted to maybe get a base with silk in it. And then I seen this and I touched this and I was like, oh, I want this. Debbie and I were discussing how it would make it work, because this is a fingering and it's quite light. Actually, it's lace weight. It's lace weight, yeah. So how would I make this lace weight work without making it drag and not be as flowy? And I don't know her name, the dyer. Fiber Goddess is her. But she came up to me actually and then showed me a shirt that she had made in this. Was it the Love Note? I feel like it was the Love Note.
Or Ranunculus.
One of the Love Note or the Ranunculus. And she was like, yeah, actually I made it held with this in a different color. And I was like, okay, yeah, thank you. And then we were walking out of her booth. I'd put it back and I touched the Love Note sample and I was like, oh, because I thought that with the superwash merino, it would make it not as airy and not as flowy and drapey, and it actually was divine.
That's amazing.
I went back and got this, and I need 2 of these, which I got 2 of these and 1 of these. So this is also a pricier yarn, but it's 875 yards, so that's quite a bit.
It's about over 40 Canadian, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I want to say I paid about $40 for it, $45 maybe, in Canadian.
But you need one.
I need one for my size.
I would need 2 probably, yes. But again, it's one of those luxury things. I didn't buy any this time. I will eventually, because I know I'm not going to use it probably even till next year to knit a summer top. So I'll buy it next year.
And my stash also, to be fair, is full of a lot of sock yarn. I do make socks quite frequently, but I don't have a lot of sweater yarn to de-stash or to use in my stash, so that when I went to Knit City, I knew that I wanted to focus only on sweaters. And I actually made a whole list with pictures. I put pictures in my notes so that I could be reminded what the top looked like. And I made lots of notes about like the type of yarn that the designer had used, and I even made notes of certain booths that I wanted to check out because I wanted to be really focused. But I still bought yarn for a bag.
Yes, but I'll make it and I'll use it, and it'll be super cute.
So excited about it.
Okay,
that's all I bought at Knit City.
FOs. Do you have an FO?
I know, because my
oh right, you're
so close. So close. Next podcast, you will get to see my tessellated.
Okay. I have an FO. This one, it's the super simple summer sweater. And this, I believe, is a Joji pattern, Joji Locatelli.
How long have you been knitting on that?
Over a year. So I started it last spring, so spring of 23. And I thought, okay, great. I'll have this. It's a summer sweater. It's not really. It's
not for us.
Not for us. Our summers are hot. So I think I might have changed it slightly by adding in a split hem. I don't remember if the split hem is part of it. It might be, but I did make it longer in the back than the front in the hem by 1 inch. I also only did like 3/4 sleeves. And on this one, I had, this is superwash yarn. So it blocked out quite big, but I love it because it's very sweatshirt-like. This is Malabrigo Rios. The color is Solis. And I didn't have enough. I had this in my stash, but I didn't have enough of it. So I bought this one skein. It's called Koi fish, I believe. But the dyer is slipping my mind. It's somebody we see locally. I'll have to put it in the show notes once I remember which one it was, but I can throw it on.
It wasn't Dragon Strings, was it?
No. Mid-knits maybe. But it's very like...
Oh, I like how it fits there. I like the split hem. I like a split hem.
Yes, the split hem was really nice. Actually, it is a split hem sweater because she has directions for how to do it and how to do the decreasing and stuff just a little bit on the side. And it creates like this really nice look. And then I just did this part longer, and I added I-cord bind off on the sleeves and the bottom. Yeah, so it's very cozy. It's definitely something that I'll be wearing when it's colder out. It's not cold enough yet to wear this all the time. But I also like the sleeves being this length because I always push my sleeves up no matter what I'm doing. I can't work or wash dishes or whatever I'm doing with sleeves down to here. Yeah. I have to push them up out of the way. Yeah, so that's my FO after a year.
Yay.
It's done. And I put it away right when I was splitting for sleeves. So I could have just kept going. It was so easy after I split for sleeves. I just had to like do the body, and it actually didn't take me that long. I should have just finished it a year ago, but I did not.
It's done now.
It's done.
Should we talk about where we were this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we hinted at this. We went to a local Fibre Fest about an hour from our places. From an hour, I think. An hour and 15, actually, I know. It was an hour and like 17 minutes because Debbie texted me and said she's going to be late and picking me up. And I'm like, what time will we get there? It was fine.
It was fine. We had enough time.
We had plenty of time. But it was in Lacombe in Alberta, and it's called Prairie Fibre Fest, and it's been running for quite a few years. I have been to it, I think 3, maybe 4 times. Yeah, I want to say 4 times. I've been there 4 times, and it's really delightful. There's, I'm going to say about 40 vendors, 35 vendors.
About that.
Yeah.
And about half of the vendors that were there this year were at Knit City as well, so we got to see them again. And then Brine was there again, so I ended up,
I got Brine. I went with the intention of not buying yarn. Broke that intention. Brine actually had a little sale basket, and like I mentioned before, I don't have a lot of sweater type yarns in my stash, and this, they're in her little sale. Lots of times when they have sale bins, it's one skein, and whether it's like a dye problem or whatever, but it's usually one skein, and there was actually 3 of these, and I'm gonna probably make a short sleeve sweater, so I don't need 3, but this is called Curtis, and it's kind of a grayish, I wouldn't call it a solid, I would call it a toner. I'm struggling with this. There we go. And it's kind of got a bluey green undertone to it, but as we stood there, I was like, do I need 3 skeins or 2? And Terry's like, you just need 2. So it is a fingering weight, and I will probably hold it with suri. And there's actually a Kacey sweater, a v-neck. She's got lots of v-neck short sleeves that I'll probably make with that. So I feel like that was a good purchase because I can make a sweater with it.
Yeah. And that's, the sale bins are all, I'm like a sucker for sale bins, but there was nothing in there that I could have bought as a sweater quantity either. And I just do not need more single skeins. As great of a deal as they were, because they were like 30% off of the listed price.
Yeah. So the listed price was $33, and I think I paid $47.50 for 2 skeins. So that's actually really good. And then I think I'll only need 1 skein of suri to go with this. So we have 100 grams. So it'll be an under $100 sweater for me, which is
that's awesome.
Yeah. With this, like this wool, I would say is, it's organic merino fingering, and it's eco-processed. So I would say that this would be a more higher end for me yarn. Yeah. But I did get something else at Fibre Fest, and I'm really excited about this. Last year at Fibre Fest, I bought a bag. I don't have it with me, but I bought it from Elle Tree, and she posted this bag right after Knit City. She almost sold out at Knit City of her bags. And then she posted this one because she had made it for Prairie Fibre Fest, and I wanted it so bad. Look at this.
It's so cute.
It's adorable. And I have this exact same bag in a different fabric, and what I love about it is the front pockets. There's this one is zippered, and it's actually quite deceiving, but it holds quite a bit. And then this one is quite, it holds a lot too. Do you have one of your thingies? Your little cases that you sell? Because I have a case from Debbie. She sells these, and they're great. They're for notions. And it fits in here perfectly, so that's what I love about it. And then I also love that it's drawstring top, because when I have zippers, I often get my yarn caught in the zipper, so I love that it's drawstring. And this is what I'm talking about. It's a little notions pouch. I have this exact same one, and Debbie has them all ready to go with all the notions that you need. There's barber cords and help me out, stitch toppers.
Yeah, there's stitch stoppers. The cords hold your stitches, your live stitches, and then I included the toggles, which I gave you some toggles. Have you used them yet?
Not yet.
I like them.
I haven't had to put my yarn on barber cords yet, but I will.
I actually used the toggles the other day because I needed the needles off of a circular cord. So I took the needles off, and then I stuck the cord through the toggle.
This is what she means by toggle. It reminds me of like a little kid, when you were a child and you had a hoodie and these were on the end of your hoodie strings.
Yes.
I think that's exactly what it was. I don't know. There you go. Yeah. So what do you do with these?
Well, you can put them on the cord, and then instead of having to tie the cord in a knot, because then they get all kinky.
Right.
But I put my my actual cable like through the holes, and it held it on there instead of all my stitches falling off the other day because I needed my needles.
Yeah, so
very functional.
This fits perfectly in the front pouch. And then I have all the little notions that I need. Mine has a measuring tape and yeah, all that. And then inside too, there's like some, I don't know if you can see them. There's like pockets as well on the inside. I love pockets on the inside because then I can, if I'm doing more than one color, I can shove one in there or put my pattern in there or whatever. And I'm gonna get to do this back because otherwise I'll steal it on my way home today. But yeah, so I bought this bag and I was so excited that it was there because I was like, if it's not there, then it wasn't meant to be. And I say that a lot. And I walked in and we were paying and I could see it.
And we were late.
We were, yeah. I mean, why were we late? That's why I was Googling. Oh my goodness, will I get my bag?
We didn't get there when they opened like our plan was, but it worked out. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I was meant to have that bag.
The only yarn that I bought at Prairie was the brine that I showed earlier, the Ben Dives color, because I needed more of this for that test knit that I'm doing, the Thistle Thorn. Yeah, because I only had one, so I bought 2 more to be able to finish that test knit. I have to have that done by November, the beginning of November. So I have some time. I have like a month and a half still to get that done. And actually, now that I'm used to doing the thistle stitch, it'll fly because it's quite a mosaic. It's slipping stitches, but then you have to do the thistle stitch in between, and that slowed me down at first. But now I'm like, okay, I got it. We can just like fly through and do the body, and then worry about because it's bottom up, so I have to worry about the sleeves and stuff later. I can talk about what's hot a little bit. So I saw this morning on Instagram that Isabel Kramer is doing a knit along. Did you see that?
No, because I had to work this morning.
Okay. I don't know when. Instagram's weird. It shows me things, so this is actually funny. I had shared on Instagram this morning Joji Locatelli's, she has Joji & Co. She makes leather bags and things.
She's doing with Spincycle.
She is doing a thing with Spincycle, like a collab thing.
There's a bright yellow bag.
Her bags are beautiful. I don't own any. One day I will. But she was doing a second sale, so like the things that are a little bit flawed, she was selling them cheaper. And it came up in my feed this morning, and I shared it. And then Joji messaged me, and she's like, "Thank you, Debbie, but that was last week."
Thank you for being so slow.
So I'm like, thank you. So I deleted it because Instagram algorithm showed it to me today, but it was actually last week. So I'm sorry if you happened to see that this morning.
I got excited.
It was not today. It was a week ago. Yes. So anyways, I saw Isabel Kramer on Instagram this morning. Let's see if I can find it.
She's a knit along.
It's a pick what you want knit along. She's over 200 patterns.
I love her patterns. I haven't knit any of them, but some of our friends at Knit Group have, and I love her patterns.
Let's see, I had saved it somewhere here. Ooh, that's not what I want to do. TYP. The hashtag is TYP Cal 24 Inspiration, but you can pick any, and she has a Ravelry group. So if you go to Isabel Kramer's Ravelry page, or if you go follow her on Instagram, you can see that's starting right away, because I think she had a sale on all the patterns. We're a day late here. She had like 25% off on all of her patterns in preparation for this knit along that's coming up. But one of the patterns I saw this morning that I loved from her, and then I went and favorited it because I'm like, it's so cute.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to say that. Dreifhaut.
You know what?
It's German. I'm
Hold
pretty
on.
sure.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna
Berlin.
type this into the machine, and then it'll say it for us.
Okay.
There's a J in there.
There is.
DRIJFHOU2 pronunciation. So I do this sometimes when I don't know how to say something. It's Dutch.
It's Dutch. Okay.
So that's what they're saying.
Dreifhout.
Dreifhout.
Dreifhout. Drijf out.
Yeah.
Okay. So this top is super cute. I don't know if I would wear it personally or if I would knit it for somebody else, but I love the little detail of the buttons that are there. It has that little like,
oh yeah, kind of a Henley look.
It is Henley, but like I love that.
Oh, I love that version. Ooh, I would make that. I would wear that.
It's very cute, like how the button is at the bottom, that little detail. And even there's so many in the projects, there's so many different ones that people have made, stripe, not stripe. They're adorable. The longer cuffs on the sleeves are adorable. So that's just one of her 200 patterns you can pick to make for the knit along. Yeah, I love that one. I guess we can keep talking about patterns if you want to share any patterns.
I just wanted to share the Sailor by Andrea Mowry, and we talked about that already.
We talked about. Okay, well then I have a couple more that I saved. maybe one day I'll make them.
Debbie is keen. She is ready for podcasting. Oh,
so
yes.
This one,
the sticky toffee.
Vera Vacamelli. Is that how you say her name?
I don't know.
I believe so. Did I write it down? Vera Valimaki. There we go. Sorry. It's the sticky toffee cardigan. So, it's adorable.
It's giving me like elderly vibes. I like it. Like grandpa cardigan.
Grandpa cardigan. Like look at the sleeve detail there. That one. It's brioche. I've never knit something so large in brioche. I've knit a cowl. And it was actually 2 colors. So maybe one color is easier. I'm not sure. It looks super cozy and I think it's a worsted. So I would need to buy yarn for it because I don't have that in my stash, or else I could maybe use a DK, but it's super cute. And then the other one that I wanted to share was this one.
Oh.
Who is the designer on this one? Did I make a note? Johanna Garish. Yeah. The jean sweater. I love the contrast she picked. I probably wouldn't wear that contrast, the red and the pink, but it's really cute and it looks quite easy. I know that it seems like it wouldn't be because of the wave, but it's just lace repeat that creates that. And we have done cowls that create sort of a zigzag or a wave, and it's just increasing, decreasing, and adding in yarn overs and stuff. So it looks like it could be okay. And then the stripe in between is a garter stitch. So yeah, that one is super cute. And then if you go to the projects too, there's ones that are not super contrasted. They're all one color. So they could be like a cream, for example. There's some that are just like,
oh yeah, that's less contrast, kind of a cream and a gray.
I think it's all one. Or is it a separate?
I think it's 2 colors.
It's 2 colors, but it's like,
but tone on tone kind of.
Yeah.
That's
it could be very classy looking.
Yeah.
Depending on the colors choices you make, or something totally wild like the pink and the red.
And if you cropped it and wore it over a dress, I feel like the wild colors would be very nice over like a black dress.
Very cute. It would be really cute. So that's on my favorites on Ravelry. And then another one that another brioche pattern. This one's by Knititude. It was released, I want to say a couple weeks ago now. The egg-free brioche beanie. It's got like that nipple shape, she calls it.
I know, I've seen that.
The nipple shape. I don't know how I would look in that, if it would make my head look really long.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cute, and I could see, my kids are teens, so I could see them wearing a hat like that.
And can you pop it down? So it's not so nipply on the top?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure you would.
Okay.
I think she talked about that on her Instagram. So Chantel is Knititude. If you just do less repeats for length, then you can make it more into like a sailor, what are they called? Like a sailor's cap, or like small, shorter. And then you don't even have to do a folded brim. You could just have it straight. But it's a 2-color brioche. she designs like really beginner knitting
that's
patterns. That's her
niche.
thing is beginner. So I think this would be very much a beginner brioche pattern. If you're looking for one, the egg-free brioche beanie. And I think it's funny that it's called that because she's allergic to eggs.
Right.
So
I remember this. Yes.
it's really funny when it's not funny for her when she gets egged and then she's super sick after she eats the eggs, but by mistake, because people apparently try and poison her at restaurants. But yeah, so those are the patterns that I want to talk about because I think they're super fun.
Yeah.
What else?
All I have left is a book recommendation. Are we there yet? Do you have anything else?
I could talk about that next time.
Okay.
That one. So yeah, we can talk about books. We like to read. We're readers.
We do. We do love to read. And I don't think I've ever had a friend before that read the same things as me. And so it's been very nice the last year getting to know that Debbie reads a lot of the same books. And I don't even know how it started, but we somehow exchanged a book. And I'll be completely honest. I grew up in a house where I was a little bit shamed, A, for reading, and B, I read romances. Not just romances, but it is a genre I really enjoy. And it was definitely something that like I grew up, my mom read Nora Roberts and like Harlequins, and back in the late 90s, you know, I don't think the Nora Roberts covers were very risque, but the Harlequins were like super, you know, cheesy,
long flowing hair. The Fabio guys.
Yeah, and the, you know, and the girls and they're like looking away and the kissing. It was clearly romance books, and I remember my dad being quite rude about like, you know, wasting your time. So it has taken me a long time to own that I read romances. And actually during Knit City weekend we went to the spa for my birthday, and it took me a little bit of time, but I was like, should I take my Kobo to read in the spa or should I take a book? And Debbie was able to get me a couple books that I was trying to find and I couldn't. And so she had purchased them for me in hard copy, but the one that I really wanted to read, it was a Rebecca Genchak book, which I find hard to get her books. But the cover had like very cheesy romance, college. And I was like, I can't take this to the spa. I'm embarrassed. And then I was like, nope. I turned 40 that day. I'm 40 years old. I'm gonna put my big girl panties on and I'm gonna read this cheesy romance in front of everybody in the spa, and I don't even care. So I did, and I read the whole thing. It was amazing.
The whole book in a day, in the day at the spa, the whole thing. I am very slow when it comes to reading, apparently, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and it's actually amazing to me that some of these audiobooks are like 12 hours long, and it takes you like 3.
Well, it was 300 pages. It was a short book, guys. But I am a quite efficiently fast reader. So actually at one point I was reading my book and I noticed somebody looking at my book, and then there was like pss, 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 and I was just like yeah, I don't even care. But yeah, so it was really nice to meet somebody that reads books. We read a lot of the same books, or we talk about the same books and share them and stuff like that. So Debbie actually gave me this one to read. I don't think you read it yet, hey?
I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
I bought it at the Book Boudoir.
Oh my gosh, that long ago.
Yeah, and I haven't read it yet.
So there's a bookstore in Edmonton called the Book Boudoir, and it sells only romance books.
It's
so cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and if you're in the area, you should definitely stop in because it's a very nice, like, I like the feel, the environment is very, very boudoir-y. But yeah, so this is Rebecca Yarros, which you might recognize that name because she wrote Fourth Wing, the Fourth Wing series, which is a dragon fantasy romancy book. Debbie's daughter just walked by the window and I can't hold it together. But yeah, so this is called In the Likely Event, and it is not fantasy. So she writes more, this is about, there's like references to the main male character is in the army, so it's a lot more realistic. No dragons in this one. It's not often that books have twists that surprise me. I usually figure them out well in advance. This one has a really good twist in it, and I literally figured it out as the book ended. and it kind of shook me a little bit. I didn't want to read the last 20 pages because I was like, I didn't know if it was going to end happily. Spoiler, it does end sort of happily, so yeah.
It's similar to the other one that we read by her. What was it?
It's called The Things We Leave Unfinished.
Yeah, that one I have finished. I read that one through our library, and it was the same. Like the last chapter or something, there's a crazy twist, and yeah, I'm like, how is this going to come together at the end? And
Yes.
it's really good. But I'm pretty sure her husband was military. I don't think he is now. I think he's out of the military now. So a lot of her books seem to have that.
Those both had military references or characters that were in the military. And I will say, like, I don't know if this is a trigger warning, but there's some sadness. It deals with like real life things that happen to everybody, and death. And yeah, it's a little sad. And I would also, if we were gonna, like, you know, put up chili peppers or whatever for spiciness, this one has a few scenes, but it is, I would say, not super spicy. There is a couple scenes. I wouldn't recommend your 12-year-old read it by any means, but it is definitely not just sex scenes. So if you're into that, it is a really good story. I think her writing, I really love her writing.
She's very versatile to be able to go from fantasy or to fantasy and then back to this, because I think these came out before Fourth Wing, and even her new book that she's recently talked about, she was like hesitant to put it out or something because of like
Fourth Wing came out
popularity
and
of Fourth Wing, and
then she wrote it after the second book. Yeah. And also her character development. I think her character development, even though like this one was like sort of slow, the characters are built up over 10 years. And it is also like the Things We Leave Unfinished. It's 2 timelines. So this is also written in 2 timelines. And so you get to know both of those timelines, whether it's different characters or just, in this case, it is the same characters just in 10 years previous or whatever, it goes through years. But I think the character development that she does is really fantastic. She has a way of bringing the characters to life. Like, I feel like I met these guys.
well, now I'm excited to read it when I get there. So the books that I have been reading, well, this one. So Brandie read this one in probably a day because that's what she does. I don't know if she'll ever have a book to share that's in progress because she doesn't have in progress. It's I'm either not or I am and I'm done. So this one, Elsie Silver, called Reckless. So she writes, it's romance. And I only got to like page 60, but now Brandie has to return it to the library. So I'm going to take it out from my library or get it on audiobook or something.
Yeah.
So I can get through it because I like to multitask. So I listen to a lot of books, and then it's hit and miss sometimes with audiobooks because the narrators aren't always great. So you can like preview. Some people didn't know this. You can preview the audio first, see if you like how it sounds before you commit.
Yes.
Which is nice.
And also, some people don't know this. Libby is an app that you can get that is connected to your library card. So you put your library card in and then you have access to that library's books. Libby has audiobooks on it. Lots of people are really surprised by that. So they do have audiobooks.
So many. Sometimes actually they'll have the audiobook and not the ebook. Yeah. So I listened to quite a few books on Libby. I think since I even got my Kobo a couple of years ago, I have barely purchased books. I borrow most books or use the free audiobooks as well from the Libby app. But yeah, so this one is a cowboy romance.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's but it's not like Western, like old timey anyway. It's like
he's a bull rider, but there's not a lot about it. There's a couple scenes where he's at a rodeo.
So the whole series I think is supposed to be like
small town brothers or like somehow connected people. I've read 2 of the books. I've read Hopeless, I think.
That's the other one.
Yeah, Hopeless.
So this one's Reckless, yeah. And then there's Flawless, Heartless, Powerless. So there's quite a few in this series. She seems to be a good writer from what I have read so far.
I really enjoyed it. Again, really good character development. And this one had like a twist in it that I was not expecting. And it jumps timelines very quickly in the book, like 80 pages in. And that surprised me as well, the timeline jump, and it kind of made it very interesting to see. The other book that I read by her, the Hopeless one, it does also have a military character and some sadness. I find military, it's always kind of sad. I can't imagine. I mean,
I can't imagine.
You can't imagine. I can't imagine saying goodbye to my loved one and then either A, not having contact or sporadic contact, or not knowing when I'm going to have contact, or contact through letters or emails, and not knowing if they're okay, and then also not knowing how long I'm not going to see them for. So it's really sad.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
It makes you sad.
And
I don't know. I got through it.
You
It
did
was fine. It's been now over 20 years, so since we got together. The other book I was going to talk about that I'm listening to. My phone is there recording, so it's on my Libby, but I can maybe just pull it up on Google, so I can at least show what it looks like.
And this one's not a romance. Oh yeah, it's Jodi Picoult. Yeah, okay.
So I'm listening to it. Hello, open. There we go. I'm listening to it right now on Libby. So this is the book called Mad Honey. So on audiobook, which I kind of like, when the authors, they introduce the authors, or sometimes the authors introduce themselves in like the very beginning, and they say their names. I had been saying her name wrong forever.
How do you say it?
Jodi Picoult. Pico.
Oh, no way.
There's no
Picoult. The whole
no,
time.
no L or T. Pico.
Really?
Yeah, there's no LT at the end. It's like ends in vowel sound. So I did not know that. But it's quite a good book. I would say I'm 2 hours in listeing to it. So who knows
so
what
only
page,
80 more.
Who knows? Yeah, it's actually quite a long listen. But it's the main character, the main female character, is a bee farmer. And it's about a small town, and her son gets charged with murder. And so it's that whole thing. And right now I have no idea how it's going to play out. I could not even guess what's going to happen. So, so far it's really good. And maybe one day we'll do a book club on it or something.
Oh yeah, maybe some patterns that coordinate.
Yeah, but right now I'm liking it. I will listen to it this week and see how it all unfolds. But maybe you've read it and you could tell me if it's good or not.
Yeah.
But yes.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah. Other arts?
Yeah, I did some pottery. So Debbie is a member of the Edmonton Potteries Guild, and in August she was able to bring a friend throughout the month, and she took me, and I made some plates and a brie baker. And so last Friday I got to glaze them with Debbie, which took no time at all. Making the pottery took me quite some time. I'm very excited about that. You've been potting for a long time, but
it came up in my Facebook memories. I've been potting for 14 years, but off and on. So my skills are not like expert at all, I would say. And it depends. And even my pottery has evolved over time of what I like to make. And I used to be strictly like, I want to make everything on a wheel. And now I have not touched a wheel since October because I hand build everything. I find there's more versatility in what you can make when you hand build, like different shapes and things like that. So I like that about hand building. So your pieces should be done. They're probably going into the kiln today or tomorrow, I would think, because the kiln was just loaded on Thursday, and I like put my stuff out and the kiln technician puts it in and does a thing. But the pieces are in the kiln for 10 hours, which is crazy. So he has to like turn the kiln on and like prime it, and then they're fired for 10 hours, and then it takes a day and a half to cool.
So does he leave?
Yeah, he doesn't stay there and sleep there. So, yeah, and it's
not pottery overnight camp.
no, and the kiln that we use at the guild is a gas-fired kiln, and it gets to about 1200 Celsius is the temperature in there.
Wow.
It's
hot.
Yeah, so it takes a day and a half to cool down before he can open that up and take pieces out. And he was just starting to fire again on Thursday. Well, he put pieces in on Thursday, so it'd fire Friday and it would cool over the weekend, and then he would probably unload it today and get ready to do the next batch, which yours would be going in on this next batch. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. But I have a couple things. So these I made like a while ago. They're little sheepies. Ta-da.
They're gonna be magnets?
They're gonna be magnets. Yeah. So these, I have a whole bunch of them, glazed differently. This brown was actually a black glaze, which is, but it fired very brown. And that's just from the carbon trapping and the way things work in a gas kiln. So it changes things quite a bit. This might be the white you used, and it could come out quite speckly.
I'm okay with that. It does. It doesn't focus if our faces are in it. That's why we're being weird.
We're being weird, or like jumping out of the camera.
Jumping out of the camera, so
it's pretty cool.
On it.
But yeah, so those will be magnets eventually. And I made ones this time that are, I have them upstairs actually, but they have hangers in them with high fire wire. So I put the wire in to high fire wire.
Say that 3 times.
It does not melt in the 1200 degrees, which is kind of cool. So you put the wire hanger in when it's just green wire, and then it fires with it in it. And now they have little hangers
That's so cool.
to make ornaments. So yeah, so I have a bunch of sheep coming, which is exciting. But I have to sand all my pieces because they're rough on the back, so I have to sand them all by hand. And that's that.
That's all we're gonna talk about today. Excellent.
I think so.
Okay.
Because it's been an hour, over an hour.
It's been over an hour, and we did say we were going to keep it under an hour.
We're trying.
We lied. We lied to ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't lie to you. We had no expectations for you at all.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to record the next one, and I hope that you guys enjoyed talking about yarn with us.
Yay. We'll see you next time. Bye.